Hello. Hi, everyone. Just the camera. Hey, Patricia. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, my love. How are
Yay.
you? Hey. What's going on?
So we've got a few people on. I think some people are also just coming on right now. I am going to put this onto, I'm going to try to put this onto Facebook. So while I try to do that and leave you for a second,
Okay.
just give us a little brief background on Good Juju Company and how you got started.
You got it. So I started this company back in 2011. And the reason I started Good Juju Company was because I had, and Gail and I are good friends, so she knows a little bit of this background, but not always everything. But our second son spent 40 days in the hospital. He almost died. And so we spent the last quarter of the year, basically, it felt like the last quarter. We went in before Halloween and we came out right before Christmas. So after we had that experience, and like I said, he had everything happen but death. After he had that experience, I came up with this attitude of we have to be better and not bitter, and that we really have to get out there and spread a lot of kindness and do a lot of good in the world. And so we just came up with the company Good Juju, because Good Juju actually means good energy. And so since then, it's an apparel company. And we're putting a lot of positive messaging on t-shirts and on different, we have yoga pants and bags and all sorts of fun stuff. And so we're spreading good energy and keeping people alive with hope.
So I'm still here, but I'm trying to get us on Facebook. So just explain, like, was this a kind of a passion project of yours? Was this really more of like just something to make money, or was this something you really was more of like your sole purpose, do you feel?
Soul purpose. So absolutely soul purpose. And so it's kind of funny, you can go into whether it's passion project or soul purpose, but this is something that I tell you what, as I have gone around and talked with people and given messages of hope to different customers and chatted, I have to say it builds me. And I think along with healing myself from the experience that we had with our family, it also we've gone out and we are kind of healing everybody one t-shirt or apparel item or bag at a time. So absolutely a passion project.
So you do t-shirts, yoga wear, bags, and they've all got a spiritual message, right?
They do. And then we do have also a little bit of a different side where we call it the beverage series. But yes, in general, this is a very spiritual company, very positive. And so even like right now, I don't know if you can see it, but my shirt is, my little Good Juju with the horseshoe on there. And so it's just all about putting out that good energy and spreading all that kindness. Okay, is the angle okay? I can't figure out.
And today in honor, yes, so it says, I don't know if it's backwards written on because it's,
nope,
it's kind
perfect.
of like a selfie, but it says, with love, Good Juju, it's all in the energy.
Yep, it is. It's all energy. So this company, the thing that I think is so amazing is that this, I know this, the thoughts we think, the words we speak, our actions, everything we do surrounds us. And so it's really important that we stay positive and that we put on that smile. And even when life isn't going great, you keep those thoughts, you control your thoughts and you put them really towards positivity, because we create our world. And so do all of us have bad things happen? Yep, absolutely. Sometimes you can't get away from it, but we do get to control how we respond. So that's very important. And that is very much what this company is about. How do you handle a crisis? Do you get into a corner and get in a prenatal position and cry and whine and feel sorry for yourself? Or do you carry yourself with grace and dignity and then spread kindness to other people? We all have stuff. I mean, I have this expression, we all have our own plate, and nobody's getting out of this life easily without having some kind of trauma here and there, because it's life school. So that's what Good Juju is really about.
So how difficult was it to actually, when you got this idea to do it, and then, actually get to the point of manufacturing and doing it? I mean, a lot of people will talk about, they've got this dream of doing something, but then, they say, I don't have enough money, or I don't know, I have a full-time job, I can't do that. So how difficult was it for you to actually kind of make this a business?
So here's what's kind of funny. My mind goes to almost thinking about the tarot card deck. I was the fool. I jumped straight in, without kind of knowing what I was going to do, where I was going. However, the first thing that we did, and my husband has been extremely supportive. So I really couldn't have done this company without my family, because there's been times where, it's the economy has dipped back and forth or what have you. And so, at least I've had that support. But I hired a good lawyer, and I've actually switched lawyers since then. But I really buttoned up my name for the company, and I buttoned up my idea. And so that was really the first thing I did, was hire a lawyer. And then I found really good manufacturers. I really went out and studied what I liked and what I felt like women want to wear, because we really do cater more to women than we do to men, but we do have some men's t-shirts and some, we have caps that can be unisex and different things. But I went out there and I thought, what is it that is going to be what products are going to be the most flattering on women? And you know what, we're not teenagers. I don't want us to be dressing like a teenager. I'm 50 years old, so I'm not looking to be my daughter's age or my daughter-in-law's age. I don't want to be that age. I'm happy to be in my own skin. So I looked for apparel that I felt like, or ideas of clothing, the styles that I thought would be very flattering for women. And then I have to say, my brain works all night long, every night, and I come up with ideas and sayings for t-shirts nonstop. And so I keep a pad of paper by my bed, and then I tend to just write. And there will be nights that I might write 100 different ideas for t-shirts. And then there's been times that when I'm doing a t-shirt and I'm putting the sayings on there, I will add them together. I might, clump some of these ideas. It's not like I'm coming up with 100 different t-shirts, but it's really nice to be able to go back and look at, your thought patterns and see what's inspiring at the time. So I don't know if I answered your question. I'm sorry.
Yes, absolutely. So if there are people sitting at home right now and they're like, well, I kind of know what I want to do, but, I'm not really sure. I mean, what would be your advice to, make a move and start?
You have to be passionate about it. You really have to love what you're going to do, because you're going to spend a lot of time doing it. You need to have an idea of where you're going to go sell your product, who you want your target to be. I would suggest doing a business plan. And I have to be honest, when I first started, I didn't have a business plan. Like I said, I kind of jumped in like the fool, on those cards, and just thought, oh, I can do this. This would be great. I was a school teacher at one point. Before that, I had worked at a country club in the pro shop and had sold, tons of merchandise. So I am very naturally a salesperson. So I knew I could work with customers, and I knew that I love people. So if I'm giving advice to somebody, do what you love. Go and figure out really what are your strong qualities? What are you talented in? And then go in that direction.
On, if you guys could just send me in the chat, just tell us, like, if you have a business right now and you kind of got questions or wondering, especially right now with coronavirus, what's going on, or if you if maybe you want to be a practitioner of some kind, but you've not started, or maybe you have. So if you can just write us some notes so we can kind of see where you're at and see, and then let us know what you want us to address, what you want us to talk about. And if anybody wants to come on live, go ahead and write something in the chat room, and we'll be happy to take people like individually and see if we can give you some advice. Because I know it's hard to talk very general. I know there are people on here that want to do all different kinds of things, and some people that just haven't even figured out like exactly what their sole purpose is. And I would say, like, just like you said, it's got to be something that you are passionate about. In fact, I actually have a whole book which is free on my site right now. It's called What's Up With My Life, and it's free on the front of my site. and which is about honing in on what are your passions and what do you love, because just like Patricia said, there's going to be times when it's going to be harder, so you have to absolutely be passionate and love what you do to get you through those times that may be more difficult.
Well, and you know what's so funny about that? So, okay, I'm glad you shared your book. We're in two different cities, so I'm glad. I've done your book twice. And so early on in my career, like when I first started the company, somewhere I had done that book. And then it's amazing when you see the growth and you see how you change. And so then you do it again. And so I love that book, What's Up With My Life, because it's an easy book to do. And you kind of fill it out. But once again, what I love is that we evolve. And as you evolve and you change, sometimes you tweak and you bring your business into a different direction. Like I said, I've added a lot of different, I was so naive. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have one t-shirt and it's going to go viral and everybody's going to love it because the name Good Juju is so great. And you know what? It didn't necessarily happen, but it didn't happen because in my heart, I know if one t-shirt would have gone viral, the company wouldn't be really doing what it was supposed to be doing. When I go to shows and when I talk to people and when I'm selling it, people, oftentimes my customers will say, oh my gosh, this just speaks to my heart. This is exactly what I need. And I know somebody who's going through a rough time, or I know somebody and this fits them. And that is what my company is supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be spreading really good energy and healing, just like you get out there and you heal. And I've watched you do some miraculous things. If it happened overnight, it would be too easy and we wouldn't appreciate all the blessings that come with our business.
There's a lot to take on failure. A lot of people think when you fail, you do something and that doesn't work out, and then, it's not meant to be, and you just give up. But we learn actually the most through failure when we have setbacks, and that's when we kind of have to reconfigure things. And, talking about that right now is a particularly difficult time for a lot of people. We're having to adjust with this coronavirus. So how is that affecting your business? And what do you think for people out there? How is that making changes right now?
So it's funny. That's a great question. So what I ended up doing the other day, my sales have not been, booming quite as well as I would hope. But I went out and I actually put a Craigslist ad in the Denver, online for Denver, because I'm a Denver-based company, or Littleton, Colorado is where the area where we are. I had probably within the first hour, I probably had 20 people respond. But I decided my marketing needs to change. And so once again, because I know that's an area that I have not been strong, I decided, okay, well, we've got to strengthen this. And I'm trying, and also during this time, I've written an application for a grant. And so I've taken this business very serious. I've dissected it during this time frame while things are a little bit slower. I've decided, let's just pull it apart and let's really see where it's working and where it's not working, and let's boom it to the next level. And see, I think that's how you also know, are you supposed to be in business or not? Because if you just want to get in bed and crawl away from it and say, okay, well, I'm going to take a 2-month break, then it might not be as much of a passion as your business should be. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think this is perfect time for, learning new things. Like, so if you're about to start a business, kind of honing in, making your business plan, doing some extra courses if you need to, learning more about business, kind of collecting things together to get moving. The only thing is, it's a little bit more difficult when, you're at a time where people don't have as much money. So, it's okay. It's great for me to say, spend this time and work on this and do this. But there's two things going on. People are like, I got no money right now. How am I going to survive? And thinking about that. And then just generally being in this cloud of worry and fear. So I think there's two things that kind of to try to overcome. One of the main things is to try to get out of this cloud of fear, and probably getting busy, starting to work on your passion projects, will help you emotionally a little bit, and to do some meditation to help you get through this, knowing that we are all taken care of, that this, trust in the universe, and to try your best to schedule time. So even if you are, in this cloud this issue emotionally, then, you know, schedule yourself some time. Say, I'm going to get up early in the morning. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to schedule, you know, this time. I'm going to sit here. I like to especially get up early and have some time before the kids are around, before everybody's around, and spend time not just working on like the day-to-day of the business and what I'm going to do, but kind of the overall, you know, the whole overall planning of where do I want this to be in a year or 5 years. And, you know, really spending some time with yourself, talking about that to yourself. And yeah,
So
I think
it's funny that
all the time.
It's funny because I've actually done the same thing. I get up, since we've had this, you know, stay-at-home order, I wake up probably between 5:30 or 6 every morning now. And I go outside, I sit on the patio, I drink some coffee, and I kind of get my thoughts going for the day. And I just get a little bit grounded and a little bit organized on where I'm going. And I actually feel like this whole coronavirus time, yes, there's been fear involved. Yes, money is tight for a lot of us. However, I do think that there are a lot of blessings in it, in this time frame, because I don't know in my 50 years when I've ever had a timeout like this. And so consequently, I am doing a lot more studying and learning, and really checking out my back end of my website, and really doing more analytics, things that I've never had time to do, that I used to depend on other people. And I don't want to depend on anybody else anymore. I want to be able to be very proficient in every area of my company. And in the past, like I said, I just ran around like, you know, my head was cut off, and I didn't really work on proficiency. And
well,
so,
maybe because I have a lady that's asking questions. She's like, you know, I love this business. I love, she wants to be an aromatherapist. She's passionate about it, but she's very put off by the whole business plan, taxes, the academic part of the business. And I must be honest, I mean, there's certain things I don't like about it. And so, you know, even though I kind of have to learn about certain aspects I'm maybe not as interested in, and then hiring, you know, good people that you can trust to do that. But I think you've got to have a kind of an overall, you've got to, even the things you don't like, you kind of got to get into it a little bit and have some experience in that. So, you know, so you're not just depending on other people. What do you think about that?
So I agree. And I have to say, I'm thinking, oh, she speaks my language, because I don't like all the administrative stuff. That's really not my forte. However, what I've noticed is that when I do make myself sit down and I come up with a plan and my own vision board, or my, you know, putting out my goals, it actually gives me some ownership, and it gives me a direction. And so I think that the problem with a lot of us that are really creative and maybe also very spiritual is that we tend to run around with our head in clouds with a lot of ideas. And, you know, we tend to be very high energy and very excited and passionate, but without having something that grounds us, and without having that focus for the business, I don't think that we get to really propel forward. I think that they do. You have to, it's the marriage of the business.
And talking about like coronavirus, I mean, I think that during this time, businesses are changing, you know, and we've got to be prepared for that, in the way that, you know, people don't have as much money. And if they want to spend money, they want to spend it on something that they think is either going to be a way to create a new business for them, that's going to bring them income ongoing, or necessary things that they need. Or, you know, it could be something like healing or something. I know a lot of people are going for healings and readings and things like that, because they, you know, they want that comfort. But you got to be very aware of what people need right now. And I think also, you know, it's really a lot about kind of doing your planning, getting to know your customers right now. I mean, like, I'm doing a lot of free webinars right now. This is not the time to be like offering big, you know, courses that people have to pay a lot of money for. This is the time that, you know, people are looking for free content to get to know someone. And that's fine, because, you know, they get to know you and trust you, and down the line they might be interested in maybe, you know, buying products or buying a service from you. But and then that's a double-edged sword, because it's like, well, you know, we're talking about not really making money for a while. But I think, you know, that this is the time to kind of, you know, cultivate your customers and share freely, and share things content. So people do not want to see, somebody come on and share something which really is just a sales pitch, and they don't really give them any free content. They kind of give them a little snippet of, but if you pay for this, then I'll give you some really free content. I think people want like proper advice, and they want to see people that they can trust. And so I think this is a time of like, building that trust.
I agree. And what's really interesting, at Good Juju, we are actually doing a huge donation of shirts to a Denver area hospital. And then because I'm originally from Texas, and I have a daughter-in-law that lives in Texas and a son, and then I also have a very close friend whose daughter is a nurse in Dallas. We're giving a big donation to that hospital also. And so those are going to go out this week. And so I think it's kind of nice. I think this is a time, like I said, I haven't had a lot of, I haven't had the business flow. But I think that this is the good energy. This is the goodness. And, you put out, I watch you do a lot of free health healings for people, a lot of different things. I do think this is the time where I couldn't agree with you more. It's where we build our trust, and our customers get to know that we are not out here just to be selfish. We're here because we really care about our customers.
So let's see if we can take a couple of people coming on. So Peggy, let's see if we can get Peggy on. So she's an Akashic record reader, and she's interested in starting a business. So I don't know, do you have any tips on that while I try to get Peggy connected? Let me see how I do this.
So, you know what, I think that one of the biggest things, obviously, I would say with the Akashic record reader, I would say that probably she's going to really start off with word of mouth, because you know as well as I do, once we hear of somebody who's really talented, we spread it like wildfire. We're all excited about sharing that information. So I would say, to start that business, maybe even have almost a little party at her house. If she's really starting from scratch, have some women over, or have some men over, or, mixed group or whatever, and do work with some people a little bit, or do it, where you put somebody into a room and you work with them for 15 minutes, or however she does her Akashic readings. And so I would say at the very beginning, and you obviously wouldn't give it all away for free. You might just touch on some of the Akashic records, and then have them start spreading the word, and then start getting into some marketing. But I feel like for Akashic records and for people who are really talented in that area, a lot of it is word of mouth. Do you agree?
So Peggy, are you there? Can you turn your camera on? I think we have you. You know how to turn your camera on so we can see you?
Yes, but I don't think you want to see me right now.
I know, we don't care. We want to see you. We want to be able to check in your energy too. It helps. It definitely helps us.
All righty.
So we don't care if you're in your pajamas. I think everybody's kind of in their pajamas right now.
Yes.
How's that?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Are you just starting out with the Akashic records? Have you been doing this for a while?
Well, I've been doing it on Friends. And, when you go through your courses, you meet people and things like that. One way I was going to, because I don't know a lot of people in the area, so I had touch base with one of my friends, and she was going to gather maybe 6 to 8 people. We're going to do like a Zoom group thing, and I was going to offer it for free, maybe like a 10-15 minute reading for everybody. And then if they're interested, I was going to have the same group a week later and maybe have them pay $20 each. And then if they're interested in going further, so the second meeting we would have like a theme.
Well, I think you're totally on the right track here. I mean, this is perfect. I think, even without this coronavirus thing going on, my philosophy is always, you need to give people a sample. People need to see what you do, because there are honestly lots of people that do Akashic records, also healing readers, right? And most of the time people are not interested unless a friend recommends them or somebody's seen you. or you give them some kind of a sample. And so it is so important to be able to get out there, especially when you're starting out, to be able to do so. I think you're on the perfect track. And I love the way it's almost like you've created this funnel without knowing it. So first you do a free sample, and then if they like that, then they could get maybe a mini reading for $20. Then if they like that, then they can go to a full reading. So, I mean, I think you're already doing that. And right now, to be doing this on Zoom, this is, I mean, this is what people want. So I think you're totally on the right track.
Now, the place where I'm having the challenge where the procrastination steps in is I don't have a website. So the Facebook business pages seems to be the easiest and fastest way to put yourself on the internet. But when it comes to things like, because you have to have a little blurb telling people about yourself. And I don't think I have that much problem with putting up a couple of posts, but when it comes to the telling about yourself.
So what you want to do is, I mean, you want to start out small, start on Facebook. And then, you know, when you're ready to get a webmaster, build yourself a pretty simple little site. You just need something where people, you know, got a couple of pictures, a little bit of information about you, especially a video. People love to see a little bit of video or samples. If you've got some testimonials at that point, which you may get from these free readings, ask them to give you a testimonial. If you give them a free reading, you know, in return, say, please, can you give me a little paragraph? And just build a simple site that's got a picture of you, what you do, and some testimonials and a way to pay. And tomorrow I actually have, I'm doing another Zoom with my webmaster, Sammy. And so he can explain a little bit more about that, but there are lots of people that do websites that are out of work right now. So he can probably explain a little bit more about how to get in touch with somebody, but probably wouldn't cost you very much money. But do it, you know, do it slowly, start out, start doing what you're doing. And then as some money starts coming in, then you can build yourself a website. And I think it's just, I mean, it seems like you're on the right path to me.
You know what, I totally agree. And actually right now, she could put an ad on Craigslist asking for somebody, offer to pay a certain amount an hour, and ask if somebody can build a one-page website. Or, you know,
yeah, or there's other sites like Fiverr online. There are places that you can find that people are looking for work, especially right now.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Peggy. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get somebody else on. Okay, so in general, what do you think about this right now, Patricia, while I find somebody else who wants to come on?
What do I think about what?
About, you know, about if you're starting out a business right now, because I mean, this applies to people who want to do readings, healers, but so, you know, not in person.
Okay, so what's funny about that is that I was thinking about after I taught school, I had a photography business. And so once again, that creative mind. And so that's exactly what I did, is that, you know what, I think that this is a perfect time to start sampling and figuring out where your strengths are. And you know what, when I started that photography business, it was extremely organic. You know what, I bought a couple bales of hay and put some flowers on there and pumpkins and put little kids in front of it, you know, and did my kids first, and then maybe had a couple of other neighborhood kids, and then I did, you know, those pictures. I think this is a time for we get to really have a rebirth on businesses. And I think that for those of us who are creative, or those of us who really want to get into the business world, I think if you take kind of an organic approach and figure out where, you know, who you can offer, once again, your services to. I did it all for free at first, and then it just started spreading. The other thing I really felt strongly about, and I still do, is I feel like if you can keep your price affordable, people will come back over and over and over. And I'm not talking about selling yourself short, but what I remember when I was a photographer, when I did portraits, I remember a 16 by 20 was $120. And I remember thinking, you know what, people with young kids, they will come back and do this 4 times a year as their kids are growing. I knew other photographers who were charging $500 for a 16 by 20. And it definitely kept me busy. But I think that that goes into whether you're starting out with readings, whether you're starting out with healing sessions, whether it's starting out in any business, make yourself affordable. And right now, people are going to be looking for bargains. And you know what? I think that it's a great time to start a business, actually.
So right now we have Marianne. Marianne, are you there? Can you turn your camera on?
I'll try.
Okay, so Marianne is coming from the UK, so I think it's like midnight there. So thank you for staying up and joining us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Good evening. I'm in my PJs, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now and what you'd like to be doing.
Gail, I've started off, I do aromatherapy, I've done a bit of Reiki, I've done to Reiki master level, but now I feel as though I want to change and I want to write a book, but I don't know where to start. As I've just said to you, I'm not very academic. I wouldn't know where to start with all your businesses, and you know, I've just been staying in the background because, as you know, I'm on sick benefits as well. I'm a full-time carer for my husband, so I do family, friends, and word of mouth. Patricia, it's gone through that way. You know, so, but I tend to be getting bits more, and I'm only allowed to do so much anyway because of my health problems as well. But now I've got this passion to write a book, and I sat for 8 hours the other day, Gail, writing all about my childhood, then to the lockdown, then back again, and I'm all over the place, and I'm up all night, and I'm scribbling down, I'm writing down, and I just love to get this book off the ground now. As well.
You're going to do a book. The book is about aromatherapy, but also your life story.
It's my life story, and then eventually how I got into aromatherapy. So I'm starting from childhood. I've even got the title Silent Tears, Gail. You know, so I've got I've started off from childhood about the abuse from home, and then I've started about the bullying, how I got into, you know, carried on through work, it carried on through school. It carried on throughout my life. I was nearly raped by a friend, a neighbour, and then it goes on, and then it comes to the heartache of what I'm going through now, and then it goes through to the lockdown. It's just, I'm all over the place.
And it also goes to like how you came into aromatherapy and how that helped you.
Exactly.
Okay.
How I've met you, how I met Christine, through the bullying and through the heartache, and you know, when I lost my job and everything through, and I had to leave work, and I had a breakdown, and that's why I've been sick ever since.
Okay,
but I still got that mindset. But it's how I met you, and I got to Brazil, and my life has opened up. So this
Marianne
is what I want to write
came
about.
on a trip to John of God with me. So Marianne, as far as writing a book, I find the easiest way is to use old-fashioned index cards or pieces of paper and write on each index card a chapter. So rather than just starting chapter 1 and write, because you'll find that, you know, you'll be great for chapter 1 and then chapter 2, and then by chapter 3 you've kind of got fed up. So the way I like to work is to first decide what your main subjects are, your main chapters, and write these, each one on an index card. So now maybe you've got 30 index cards and each one has a note on it. And, you know, perhaps one index card is going to be about a particular incident, abusive incident you had. Another one's going to be about a childhood incident you had. You know, and then you can rearrange these chapters. I mean, this is a life story, so it's kind of going to be
backwards and forwards,
from start to finish, but you might decide to do some flashbacks. So first put them down on cards and arrange the cards in those books. And then you might decide, well, this story is not as interesting as the other, so I might not bother doing that one, right? And then on each of these cards, put down a little bit more about the points that you're going to put in that chapter, right? And then the way I like to do is I create a Word document for each chapter. And so I might find that I want to write the chapter about a certain thing. So you might find you want to write a chapter about what's going on right now first. And then you might later want to go back and write the chapter 1 about how you started out. But make your whole book first and see that the kind of it flows. And then go back and flush it out and start doing each one. Don't try to start to finish, because you'll never finish it. So
I found that, yeah. I found that, Gail. I found as though I started off at childhood and then something's happened that's triggered something else off, and then I remember something else. So I've more or less done a bit of what you've said, and I've got different books and different colours with different chapters in, and I've got loads of titles and loads of headings, and I write a bit and I write a bit.
Like, you know, I kind of like, sometimes I feel like writing, and when I do, and then I'll sit and write for days or weeks, and sometimes I don't feel like it for 6 months. So, you know, people say they got writer's block.
I'll never get that.
Other people
I've got too much.
Say, okay, I'm going to schedule myself, you know, maybe in the morning before anybody's around, and say, okay, this time to this time is when I'm going to sit and write. I'm going to turn off the phone, and I am just going to, you know, and I'm going to do myself, you know, 1 chapter a day or 1 chapter over 3 days, and then just schedule yourself and do it. And then the other advice is, don't make it perfect. You know, I mean, you can go back and rewrite, and it'll never ever be perfect. So you know, I get to a point where it's done, and it's like, okay, it's not perfect, but it's done, and I'd rather see it get out there. And when you write a book, it gives you a lot of credibility in the business that you're going to have. It already sets the stage for your story and your passion and why you're doing that. And I think, you know, writing a book is probably the most important thing you can do if you're starting out and you want to do, you know, aromatherapy, or as a reader, or, you know, any business like that. People come see you because they like you and they trust you. And so if you have a book, you know, you don't have to explain yourself a million times. You've got your book out there, and that kind of sets precedent. So I don't expect to make money on your book. Your book is kind of a leader to show people who you are and to get your word out.
It's my blueprint. Yeah, it's a blueprint. Yeah, it's a document, but it feels like more of a diary than a story sometimes.
That's fine. It can be a diary. It can be your whole life story, and then just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a how-to book about the aromatherapy. This is more about sharing your story so that people trust you, and then they're interested in getting the aromatherapy. Patricia, you have any kind of notes on the product selling, the aromatherapy side of it, and getting into that?
You know what? So I'm assuming you're making all of your, you know, you're using your blending, all that. To me, it's just using the best quality you can use. When you're doing aromatherapy, for any product that you're going to do, use the best quality, because that is attached to your name. And you know what, once, you know, you put all the, you know, the healing qualities of lavender, the healing qualities of you know, peppermint, and, you know, eucalyptus and all that, and you know what to do with it, and you can really advise your customers where to go, or what to use, what blends to use for different ailments or different things that they need, or, you know, to lift their spirits. You know, it's going to give you so much credibility. And so it's funny, there's a blend that I use from a woman around here, and it's Namaste, and I'm actually out of it. And I thought, oh, you know, I need to call her. I mean, I am addicted to my Namaste, you know, blend. So I'm really excited for you that you're going to get to do this.
Yeah,
I like using. Sorry, you buy these blends because you know and trust that person, though, right? And you've kind of got like a story, right, Patricia? You don't
Absolutely.
just buy that blend from anybody, correct?
Absolutely. And the thing is, and as you're doing these blends, obviously you really do know the strength of the oils. You know, it's funny, even my husband is really becoming a believer in all the oils. And I think as time goes on, we're going to be using more and more and more aromatherapy and essential oils. You know, it's obviously it's not just for the holistic, you know, the crowd that likes to, you know, go to readers, and it's very mainstream. We all want to use oils for healing. None of us want to be using big pharma right now. It doesn't seem like to me.
Lemongrass and lavender is nice, and cinnamon is another nice one.
Yes.
I use those. Yeah, I use them quite a lot. Yeah, and chamomile's good for the husband's itchy skin.
Yeah. So see, you know what? And so what's really funny is that would be a really cute name on the chamomile, like for the itchy skin or the husband's itchy skin or something. But make some of the names catchy, and you know, and then people are like, oh my gosh, you know, I love this. I can relate. This is what I want to use.
for the 84-year-old with the shredding skin.
Maybe not that. That's a little graphic.
You want to try living with it?
But no, I absolutely love it. I mean, I think that you obviously are very creative and words obviously flow very easily for you. So I know you can come up with really good, cute, fat, very descriptive names that will catch people's attention.
Yeah.
I think that, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And it is about your own personal branding. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of people that do aromatherapy. There's a lot of people that do Akashic records and readings. This is about sharing your story in a kind of a very honest and open way, and sharing, why you are passionate about it. So don't lose that part of it. And that's why this book is really key, because it's going to, people are going to fall in love with you and understand you. And then that's why they're going to be interested in these products.
So you just really hit on a very strong topic, is that we make ourselves, when we start our businesses, we make ourselves very vulnerable, because it's something that is very important to us. It's something that we feel like you feel like your aromatherapy is really going to be a healing tool, and it's going to be something that makes somebody's life, a lot better. And so just like when Gail started her businesses, I mean, she went into the business to help people, and it became, it was very, she's been very passionate about it. We make ourselves vulnerable. And so I think that you have to really start knowing who you are, and you have to ignore the naysayers. If anybody says, oh, you can't do that, or, oh, there's too much of that. No, you know what? There's no other you out there, and nobody else has your talent. And so you just have to really know where you're going and what you want to do, and keep that smile on your face, and stay, keep your back straight and keep going.
Yeah, I know I get called magic hands.
That's
I said,
nice.
no, it's Marion's mobiles. It's Marion's mobile therapy. It's not. He said, no, Marion's magic hands.
Well,
that's what I get told.
That's the name
all
of your
time.
company. Is that the name of your company?
Marion's mobile.
No,
Marion's mobile therapies, but
no, Marion's magic hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please change the name to Marion's Magic Hands, please.
That's
right, the name of the company.
I will do. Yeah, that's what he's called. He always says, "Oh, Marion, your magic hands." So
I wish you lived near us.
People relate to personal stories. So as you write this book, and as if people are interested in being a speaker, what draws people in is not, oh, this aromatherapy is really great because it does this, this, and this. What draws people in is your personal story about, why you're passionate about it. And if you just tell your personal story, and you tell it like you're telling to a friend, you can tell that to an audience of 500 people. If you just, you just pretend like you're telling it to one friend, and when you're writing the book, you tell it like you're talking to a friend about it, and you are exposing so much of your own personality. And this is what people are drawn to, and this is what makes the difference.
Well, that makes sense, Gail, because the lady, all my friends and the clients that I do have, they always say, Marion, you need to write this book, you need to do this. All my clients have become friends, and my friends have become where they love me now, Gail, they just love me. And I think, but they said, no, get your story out there. You need to tell it. It's lovely. It's heartwarming. We didn't realize you'd gone through all that. And, it makes you who you are. So you're right. Everything you've said is so true.
And I know there's some other people online that are interested in writing a book. And I will tell you right now, book writing is about getting your story out for a different purpose. So, getting your story out because, you want to do this line of business, or because you want to share, you want to help people. Don't think that, selling a book is going to make you a bunch of money. I mean, maybe it did in the past, but the whole publishing thing has completely changed. And unless
it's how do you get it out there though, Gail? It's how do you start? Where do you go? Who do you see? How do you get your manuscript?
I'm going to talk a little bit more about that tomorrow, but I mean, really self-publishing on Kindle, and then you got to do your own self-promotion. People
Right.
buy your book because they've heard of you. You've been online, you've been telling your story, you're telling people, you're out there publicly, you're putting it on Facebook. And, you know, to do a Kindle book is pretty easy to do that. And there are some ways to put your book for free as like a promotion and get people to read it. But going to a publisher like a Simon & Schuster, getting an advance, I mean, those days are gone 10 years ago. And, you know, even you'd have to have a massive story. You'd have to also have a bunch of publicity and a bunch of money behind it for, you know, a big publisher.
Yeah.
And even then you get like $1 a book. So,
Yeah.
you know, but don't expect even, you know, even if you're
My
selling your book,
friends reckon it's going to be an everlasting story, and it's going to be on the cinema and big screens, Hollywood, as it or whatever.
well, sometimes they get picked up, but you know, you put it
Coronation
out,
Street
your
comes to
story.
mind.
You put it out like it's your story, and you put it out, you know, for the purpose. And if it gets picked up later, it can get picked up later. But I wouldn't go out with that in mind. There's so many people like, oh, I'm waiting for a big publishing deal. And even if you get, I mean, I got offers for some pretty big publishers, but you know, in the end, you don't make any money. So unless you're going with a really massive publisher, or you've got your book out already, and then they come and pick it up, great.
Yeah, no, this is mainly for history for my children and my grandchildren, and just to see who grandma really, or nanny really was. I hate that word, but never mind. Who their friend really was, you know, but yeah, that's what it's for. It's for me. It's to get my story out. It's to be heard. That's what it's for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, darling. Thank
You're
you for waiting
welcome.
up so late.
Love you. Yeah, yeah. Oh no, I'll stay on. Thank you for the time.
Okay.
Thank you, Patricia.
I'm
Thank
going to
you.
take you off the screen here, though. That's
Okay, I don't know how to do it, so you have
oh,
to.
I'm going to do that for you.
Great.
Bye.
Cut me off.
Cutting you off. Sorry.
Chunk.
Changing you back to attendee. Okay, I don't know if Brad wants to come on. Text us, Brad. Send us a message if he wants to come on. But Brad's asking, there seems to be a divide between what you're doing, what you're called to do or really want to do, your passion, and financial reality. What do you think about that, Patricia? So he's saying
Is he,
basically,
so
yeah,
he's saying that to me?
no, he's
Yeah.
saying that, like, I presume he means that he can't. He'd love to do something, but there's a big difference between, like, you know, having an idea and actually making money out of it, actually having your sole purpose and making money in your sole purpose, as opposed to, like, you know, you've got to go to your 9-to-5 job to make money.
So you know what? You can still go to your 9-to-5 job, and then you can start edging your other, you know, passion into your life, and then build it. And then once it becomes strong enough or big enough, then you quit your 9-to-5 job and you take over permanently with that. I mean, I actually think, you know, what's the expression? If you know, do what you love, you never work a day in your life, you know, something to that effect. And so, I mean, I think that none of us should be stuck in a totally dead-end job, or do something that doesn't make us happy. I also think we all should be responsible. We need to make sure we can pay our bills. And so, you know, you have to stay employed. You have to do the right thing, but follow your dreams and build your dreams on the side and build that career, and then go for it.
Okay,
I mean,
so Brad's coming on. So Brad, can you turn your camera on for us? So Brad was the one that's asking about, like, finances. Brad, are you there? Can you turn your camera on? Can you hear us?
I hear you. Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you now.
Hi, Gail. You remember me, right? You met me at the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo in Chicago.
I'm sure I will when I see your face. Do you know how to turn your camera on?
How to make it? Let's see if this does it.
Is there a little switch at the top of your computer?
Okay, hold on.
Like at the top of your screen? I don't even know how to
Looking
create
at the
that.
question and answer, recording this. Hold on, here you go, maybe.
so what is it you love to do, Brad?
Oh, hello.
Hi.
What is your passion?
Well, like, it's sort of like a reader, it's sort of like spiritual, and it's extraterrestrials, maybe just presenting a lot of esoteric subjects. And I mean, a lot of people are doing that already, but since I have a perspective of my own, to make it where I'm making some sort of impact in the world, but maybe it can help me financially also. I've worked at a McDonald's restaurant for 20 years, so it has its good points, but it has its like pressure or whatever, and I feel like I could do something more.
Well, Brad, I think people love, to get readings, and I think that's a great way you can do that. As a part-time, and kind of get started, and especially if you've got this extraterrestrial connection where you can bring through messages. So, are you interested in doing readings, like maybe over the phone or via Skype or something?
I may do that, yeah. Sometimes I don't get the clear answers, but I do get messages from the spirit. So I feel like I could use it when it gets more clarified. I feel like I'm a psychic medium already, but to make it more, to manifest it, ground it into reality.
Well, like we talked to the first girl that came on, if you start by not promising a lot and basically saying, let me do some readings for free and kind of see how I go. And then, and then if they like that, maybe starting to charge, but you've got to kind of start somewhere. And if you're not sure on your connection, then you're not going to feel any pressure if they haven't paid anything to start. So I think doing some free samples and getting some testimonials from people, and that will help kind of build your confidence and make your channel stronger when you just start using it and doing it and offering your gifts.
Okay, that makes sense.
What do you think, Patricia?
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And so, but I don't think you should quit your job yet. I mean, I think you should, should hone in on your skill more and more. But obviously, you do have a lot of gifts, and so I would start doing them on the side. I would start using them on the side.
I've been trying to, I'm not making any money on the things I do on the side. I'm talking to people, interacting with people, and then going to different events, or maybe I've done presentations about alchemy or mediumship, but it hasn't been a financial part of it. But maybe I could incorporate.
Well, what about eventually you trying to get a booth at like the Chicago Body, Mind, Spirit? Eventually after you really start practicing on some people, and then, having a weekend where you actually get to really do readings all weekend and see how you love it.
I think that's partially what I might do. Plus, there's a couple people I like to help promote their books or whatever. I haven't ever done that like at an event like that, but I usually do it independently. I'll tell the people about the books I like. Like one lady, she says she's from Venus, and I always talk about her book. This lady right here, So I can incorporate these things, I guess. But whenever it comes to finances, I get a little nervous. And then I don't want to spend money where I'm not going to have anything. It's going to put me in financial hardships. But maybe there's a part of it where you trust the universe also. So it's kind of a balance there.
Well, I think if you start out small by just, offering to people, hey, if I give you a free reading, will you, give me some honest feedback? Will you give me a testimony? Then you're not putting out any money. They're not putting out any money. And you're starting to get your skills going. And then you'll kind of develop like, oh, I feel like I'm better at doing this. I feel like I get more channeling. Then you can tell people, when I do a reading, this is how I work. This is how I do it. And I think it will come to you the more you practice. And you have loads of people wanting to sign up for a free sample.
Absolutely.
So do you remember me, Gail?
I do, and I see you've got my Freaky Life Moments book there with you.
I had to order it a second time because the other one I left it on the bus or somewhere. So I just ordered another one. I love to read that. When I read it, it enhances my mediumship. I feel more close to my gift.
And as you start working on people, your gifts will come through stronger, and you'll get more guidance as how you're supposed to go on and do it. Okay,
so
so
much.
we're going to say goodbye to you, but thank you for coming
Thank you,
on.
Gail. I'll see you sometime soon. Maybe I'll come out there soon. Bye.
Okay, thank you, Brad.
Thank you. Bless you. I got the oil too, hand sanitizer.
Good.
Yay!
Bye. Okay, so I have Susie. I don't know if Susie would like to come on. She's talking about she is a medium and a healer. She's taken Reiki level 2 and wondering how to make that into a business. So let's see, does Susie want to come on? And what do you think so far, Patricia? I know we're getting some questions that kind of apply to a lot of different people.
So for Susie, I'm already thinking absolutely move into business with it. You know what, Reiki practitioners, if they are really good, it'll be one appointment after another. I mean, Reiki is a wonderful healing modality. And so if, and with her also being a medium, is that what you said? And then also, with that, as she's working on her clients, she will get messages that will help them, to where they maybe, they'll be directed to, okay, your liver, or, we need to work on moving the energy, or we need to go ahead and, work on, different areas of the body. And so, I mean, I feel like it's the modalities really work and mesh together, and it gives her an edge to me, an edge above other Reiki practitioners.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Susie's around or left us, but
that's okay.
This is a question that we've got a lot of people who are Reiki practitioners who want to get into business. Mm-hmm. And, what we've been saying all along is, I think because there are so many people in some of these areas, it doesn't mean to say that you can't do it. You could be wonderful, but I think you've got to have a little bit of an edge, like you said. Mm-hmm. It's got to be something that's a little bit different. Like Susie said, she's a medium. And I think if you do Reiki healing and you also say, I also will read your cards while I'm doing the Reiki healing, maybe I'll, throw some cards at the beginning, or maybe I tap into spirit. Maybe during the Reiki session, I will give you messages. So I think, having some kind of an edge that's a little bit different, saying absolutely. I do Reiki, and the difference between me and everybody else is, I do this, right? Absolutely. And even if you're not very confident, you can say, I'm also a medium, I'm not sure if I'll get messages, what I'll get, but I will just share what I get and just be willing to share that, which may or may not, may mean something to them, may not. But I think, I think people like to have a little bit more than the norm. And then the second thing I think is you've got to, again, share a little bit about yourself. Nobody's just going to book a healing with somebody that is either hasn't been recommended yet, or they don't have testimonials. So I think those two things are really important. You get the word out, and you get people that had a session and absolutely love you. So they've either had a sample session or a small mini session, and then they're going to want to book a bigger session, or you've had enough people that have had a fantastic session and they're going to give you a testimonial and they're going to tell their friends. Because I know me, I go to people for readings or healings, but only kind of after if somebody's recommend them, or somebody says they're really special.
So what's funny, I have a Reiki practitioner that I go to regularly, and I'm always, the minute we're done, I'm like, okay, what'd you get? And because she's, very much of a health intuitive, and she's definitely, works on clearing, different areas of my body. However, I love that she has the ability to really say, okay, Patricia, this is blah, 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 what's going on with you, or, and so I worked a lot on clearing that. And so that is a huge edge, instead of somebody just putting their hands, on the different spots, trying to move the energy, which I love. I mean, I'm not taking that away, but having that extra ability to you, it makes all the difference in the world, and the clients will love it.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, sorry, this is my first time, and I finally figured out how to work it.
Well, perfect. You're on.
Hi.
So, sorry.
So what do you think about, what are you doing with your Reiki business right now?
I'm not doing as much as I'd like to. I did Reiki 20 years ago. The first time was in India. The second time was with you here in Toronto. I first met you with John of God, and I thought I've got to get in your, I've got to see you again. And then when you did a session in Toronto, I came, and you just said, you did some medium work, and you did Reiki, and then you said, just go ahead and just start working and practicing. And that's what I did. And I felt like I was BSing the whole time, but I really wasn't. It was pretty incredible. And I had the chance to work on a very well-respected healer here in our area. And I couldn't believe like what I was able to help her with. So I guess my thing is, how do I move forward? I do have an autoimmune condition, so I do tire easily. And I'm very careful with who I share my energy with.
Well, so right now during this coronavirus, you are obviously not going to get clients coming in and doing hands-on healing. So you are level 2, which is great because that means you can do distance healing, right? And Reiki is just as powerful over the phone, Skype, distance healing, even if they're not present, just doing the healing work. So I would, practice right now. And what we've been talking about all along, trying to get people to even just give you a recommendation, a testimonial, maybe even do like a free sample. So if you could put that out on your Facebook that, hey, I'm going to take on 10 people I'm doing some distant healing on, if you promise to give me a review, and then you can do distant healing on them and then follow up maybe with a phone call. And even this woman who said was quite a famous healer in Toronto, if there's any way that she would give you a blurb.
I'm sure she would, yes.
And you know what, as well as we do, that every time you do Reiki, it's also that energy is healing you too. I mean, I would definitely make sure I'm shielding myself. I would be very, I wouldn't be taking on anybody else's energy, and I would limit, maybe how many sessions that you're going to do a day or a week. But you do know that, I mean, that is the beauty of Reiki, is that the energy is healing us as we do it. So you do get some benefit from it.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I think that's also part of your healing. The more that we work on others and do healing on others, the more we get that energy ourselves. So, it could be that part of your life path is to have this difficult health issue, because you're going to be also healing yourself as you're healing others. And I see a great life story out of this too. So, make some notes and about the different healing experiences you've had, because ultimately I do see you writing a life story, writing a book, speaking about this.
Gail, what's so funny is that I'm sure that, Susie, you wouldn't have been drawn to Reiki in the first place if you didn't have a health issue. And so some of these issues are our gifts. It's funny. I have a fused neck and a lower back that is fused. And it has been amazing because I have gone through so much personal healing trying to work on my back. And it's just been so fun to undo the onion, to just peel the layers away. And it's obviously taken me way deeper into my practice of everything I do.
I believe that. Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. I think we've gone an hour and now, so I'm going to say goodbye, Susie. Time has flown today.
It has.
I hope you guys loved it.
This was fun. So fun.
Yeah, and you really, shared a lot, Patricia. And I know that this is not like a program that you normally do. You don't normally, offer business help. So this was nice of you to share your personal insights.
And I can't help but notice we're both wearing our little John of God necklaces.
Yeah, the Vogel. So this is the Vogel, which has got the triangle the one way and the other way, and this is for energy protection. So I have been wearing a lot of Vogels this last month for protection, for also supposed to be EMFs, which the 5G comes in. That's a whole different story. Anyway, Patricia, share a little bit about if people are interested in getting to know you more, seeing your line of clothing.
Oh, my word, please. So you know what? We are on Facebook also. So it's Good Juju Company. And so my website, obviously, I'm looking down because I have so many different little handles. Twitter is at Good Juju 2012. Instagram is at Good Juju Company. Facebook is Good Juju at Good Juju Company. Please join and like us. And then I have a website, www.goodjujucompany.com. And I would love for y'all to come shop with me. So thank you.
And, you know, if people like this, I'm going to do another one tomorrow with Sammy. We're going to be talking more about more specific things about Shopify and websites and Kindle. But, you know, if people are really liking this, maybe we could do this again.
I would love it. Love you. Thank you so much.
Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.